Deep Shot Podcast, Season 4, Episode 19. What do we got there?
Johnny U.
Rob
It's got to be the
Bowers?
Johnny U. episode.
Johnny Unitas. Joe Flacco has worn 19 before.
Brock Bowers?
Brock Bowers.
That about wraps it up for 19.
Malcolm Mitchell when he played for the Patriots.
Facts.
Is that a poll?
Yeah.
I think that's a poll.
Caleb, remember when Caleb wore his Super Bowl ring that one time?
I have met Malcolm Mitchell. I have put on the ring. It was a very interesting day. Never thought I would be able to actually put a Patriots Super Bowl ring on. And that one's probably my favorite for various reasons.
It's probably my least favorite for various reasons.
Well, let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Deep Shot Podcast. Wild weekend. We said last week going into this, it was going to be jam-packed. There's so many big games. We're really in the conference play now. When we're talking about all these big games, conference everywhere. So let's go ahead and get into it. Actually, before I say that, just want to say the shirts are being shipped out as we speak. You should have them by the end of the week. Thank you again to everybody for supporting us. It's a big deal, to me and to us to see all that support. So we just want to say thank you to you guys and sorry for the wait. We hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure to wear it, promote the pod. We've had great viewership. We really appreciate how the show's been going. It's been a lot better than previous years. So just wanted to say thank you guys for that. We really appreciate the support. We're doing everything we can to get better day by day. All right, let's start talking about week 7 of college football. Georgia versus Auburn. That's where we're going to start. 20-10 final. This first half, if you were to tell anyone about this game and you just told them what happened in the first half, you would think, Auburn went on to win the game. Auburn, 237 yards in the first half to Georgia's 78. Rushing yards, 130 to Georgia's 19. Third down, Auburn had 8 for 10. After last game they played against A&M, were 0, didn't get a single one. Georgia was 0 for 4 time of possession. Auburn 21 minutes 48 seconds. Georgia 8 minutes and a couple seconds. So, and then it all changed. We all know what happened. The Georgia Jackson Arnold fumbles at the goal line. Georgia causes it. I'm not here to argue with you. If you don't know ball, that was a fumble. I don't know how, Caleb and Jake feel. I'm sure I know how Jake feels. I don't know how Caleb feels. I haven't asked him about it, but
yeah, I'm actually interested. Real quick, Caleb, I want your take. Fumble, no fumble, what?
I think whatever the on-field call is what you got to stick with. I personally thought it was a fumble because if you really, really look at it, which obviously a lot of people are like, well, we shouldn't slow down live sports like that. And I agree with that to an extent. But if you really look at it, I think the ball was loose on the first punch. I think C.J. Allen punched it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the first guy came in there and punched it out. It was already loose.
I totally agree.
And I do also agree to that point. Like, I think if they call it on the field, it's a touchdown. I think it's tough to call it back, but I think it's 100 out of 100 times a fumble. I don't even think it was close.
It was close.
It was close. It was close. It's hard to say it wasn't close.
It was clear as day.
But the ball was out before he hit the goal line. But anyway, after that play, we know what happens. Pretty much the entire game turns upside down. Georgia's able to go score a touchdown. The first life they had all game. The offense was vanilla. They couldn't get any yards. Auburn was holding the ball the whole time. I said last week that if Georgia needed to control the line of scrimmage this game, that was not happening. Cam Coleman was getting involved early, had that big flag on the first drive, had a couple catches, and then the second half happens. Georgia turns it around. A completely different game. Auburn ends up with 40 yards the rest of the time. Georgia had a little over 200, held the ball for 22 minutes. What a fight from this team. I will go to say Auburn, they can't complain about all the things they complained about with the way they performed after that fumble. It's hard to feel bad for you. On the Georgia side, this team is obviously not good enough, in my opinion, to win a national championship right now. It's just what I've seen for 6 games, it's not good enough. What I will say is that it could be a lot worse. We're watching Penn State unfold. We were watching Clemson unfold. We're watching programs that have a lot of expectations and are not getting it done. Kirby has a culture. That's all I'll say about this game. I'm worried about Georgia going forward. Obviously, I think there's another loss on the schedule. But for this game, what a fight.
Well, we all three of us, and I feel like anyone who follows Georgia football, follows the SEC, or just, anything in particular, like college football, just in general, you looked at this game as a close game. This was going to be a close game. You knew it was going to from the second it was scheduled. From the second you realized, oh, it's a night game at Jordan Hare. From the second you realized, oh, this is Cam Newton jersey retirement night. Auburn, this was, their Super Bowl, you can say. This and the Iron Bowl is going to be this team's Super Bowl. And like we said last week, Auburn has 2 losses on their schedule, both on the road, both really good teams, both by a touchdown or less. This is a solid squad. It's a solid squad. But yeah, I mean, the game turned on that fumble. Don't want to talk about it too much. Obviously we get that field goal going into the half, and it's a completely different ball game at that point. But I love what you said, Garrison, because the amount of, BS tweets and Instagram posts I've seen since Saturday about Georgia paying the refs and this and that and the other. I will say this. I think the refereeing overall was pretty brutal, because there was, even outside of that play in general, there was multiple missed calls on Georgia's side. I think there was a few missed calls for Auburn as well.
Yeah. And
about to bring that up, the timeout that Kirby Smart is running down the field, clearly signaling for a timeout. I mean, listen, I'm a dog, but the pod comes first. I'm going to be as, what's the word I'm looking for? Be as partial as possible, unbiased as possible. That was crazy, Kirby. That was crazy, and it's pretty dang hard to defend.
Pull though. What a pull!
What a pull! I mean, he fooled him. He knew he had him.
Well, that's a guy that will do anything to win. And I'll take that guy out of all you babies. And Caleb's shaking his head. That inner coach.
Billy Napier wouldn't do it to win.
Yeah, no, he would. He'd be like, "Oh, thanks, Stripes. Really appreciate what you do out here." But that's all I'll say. He really wanted to win the game, and he did it. And that's on the refs, dude. That you see coaches try to get out of shit all the time, and it never happens.
Yeah,
it just happens.
Seriously, just tell him not to. But there's one more Kirby Smart thing I want y'all's opinion on. So after the game, did y'all see him, he got up on a medical a medical bench and is doing belt to ass it
meant a lot to him. It meant a lot.
It does,
to that game.
and I love Kirby Smart, and I never want to come across as because I love him, and he is. If we lost him, I would be beside myself. But I probably could have gone without that. Probably could have gone without it. And I feel like has Kirby not kind of been on one all season? When he was leaving the Tennessee game and him doing the sticking his tongue out, that to the fans.
I think Kirby.
The timeout.
What I said earlier is how I don't think this team's good enough to win a national championship. I think Kirby knows that. I think he's at the point now where him and this team are just kind of having fun and meshing, and every win is just that more valuable because he knows maybe they're not good enough to do it, but they're overcoming a lot of things. I think that's what it goes back to. Caleb, we haven't heard from you yet. What do you got to say?
I was shaking my head earlier to the Kirby Smart timeout thing, and honestly, yeah, obviously you don't want to see bad procedures going on the field and the refs actually screw things up because they clearly screwed it up. Kirby calls a timeout and is then telling the ref that they were clapping, and then he was like, I wasn't calling timeout. Okay, I've got a problem with this on one front. First of all, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe this is just me. I find that to be disrespectful to the game. That you are clearly going around and trying to. There's no way he doesn't know the timeout rules. He knows what the rule is, and he's circumventing it on purpose in this situation. And you can say whatever you want to, yeah, well, at least he's trying and stuff like that. But you shouldn't. If you're Kirby Smart, you shouldn't want to beat a team and have anything go on in that game that would be questioning your team's ability to win that game. And instead today, now all we're not talking about how they stopped Jackson Arnold's pass game and shut down Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. down. We're able to cover those guys up. We're really good on third down defense. Got after the passer a little bit in terms of pressures, which were the things that we were talking about. But no, that's not. My whole thought on that game has been how bad the SEC refs were this weekend. And I'll tell you, I told somebody this today at work, and I'm going to stand on it. If Hugh Freeze gets fired from Auburn, he should sue the SEC officials. He should sue them because that's 2 weeks in a row, really 3 weeks in a row, that you can go back and say, well, there was something that kind of went on in the game that may have prevented the outcome from happening in his favor, okay? So if that's the case, we've got to clean this up. The officials will never have to answer it. And the bullshit part of all of it is that if Hugh Freeze says that was garbage, they need to be better, we need to have some kind of answering, he's going to get fined $50,000. The best thing he can do is send a request into the SEC office on Monday and send the play in, and then they tell him, we're sorry we messed this up. That's the best they got. That's bullcrap. Kirby should have had a burnt timeout. If anything, he probably should have got a delay of game for lying and trying to instigate that whole thing out. Now, did that impact the actual result of the game?
No.
In my opinion, no. It did not. No, the crucial, critical plays of the game were the ones that we've already talked about. And the main one is the punch out on the goal line. Changed everything. But no, I just expect higher what do you call that? Kind of like a higher set of moral values. And I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Kirby's a shitty dude. No, he's not. I'm just saying that for the respect of everybody else that coaches this game, you don't get to get 4 timeouts and a half. Nobody else ever has.
Well, I think he said after the game that he was talking about the Auburn players clapping on defense, which there is proof of them doing at the time he was saying that.
They were, but why are you going to go call a timeout to try and talk to the ref about that? Like, you clearly were not trying to call timeout to tell a ref. Nobody calls timeout to bitch at a ref and tell them that they screwed something up. And if you did, you probably...
I think Kirby knew what he was doing. I think he knew that maybe he could sell it this way. I think it's obvious he was trying to call a timeout. I'm not going to argue there. Disrespectful, whatever you want to call it. You did say at the end of your whole argument there that it didn't matter. This game, that was not going to change the results of the game at all. So, the SEC officiating was bad. We can move on. Kind of nothing's going to happen there, it doesn't seem like. So this seems like a conversation that you had every time a bad game happens. And for Auburn, there's the Oklahoma game, now this game, but dude, Auburn's got to sack up and go just win a football game sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like these are the teams that just whenever it happens once, they love to just use it all the time and say that's the reason we didn't win. But,
I'm with you.
You're not going to compete after it happens, then no one feels sorry. I don't feel sorry for Auburn. I mean, they literally did nothing after that fumble. They acted like that ruined the game. They acted like the timeout really mattered. I don't feel bad that all of that happened when you didn't fight as a team at all.
But it should still not go on, though. That shouldn't still happen. I'm not talking about the fumble. The fumble is a legal own play that happened. It still should not even be a thing that we're talking about.
No disagreement there. All right, let's talk about another game.
Here's my last comment I want to make. Look at the Georgia-Texas game last year. Georgia got absolutely screwed on a member on that throw. I forget who it was, but Carson Beck was a pick six that should have been PI. They called PI. They took it back. Georgia got absolutely screwed on that play. And what did we do? Did we bend over and then just for the rest of the game just cry refs and wind up losing? Because that's what Auburn did. They had 30 yards in the second half. 30 yards. I could care less about anything at that point. I agree. I think the timeout is classless, truly. I think it's Bush League. But what kind of team are you? When you have some adversity hit like that and you just completely, like Garrison likes to say, fold like a lawn chair and just let everyone just run over you and dictate how the rest of the game goes. But yeah, that's my last point. We can go ahead and move on. But it's just weak. It's weak. Teams like to mimic their coach, and Hugh Freeze is weak.
Yeah, they're a very emotional team. If it's going well, Auburn's going to play good. If it's going poorly, something happens, it's coming off the rails. Then this may be a topic of conversation. I think if Auburn actually doesn't fumble that sneak, y'all are in big trouble.
That game was over. That game was absolutely over, and Georgia took it out. And that goes back to the whole culture thing and how much fight that Josh Pate said it earlier today. Or yesterday, whenever he said it, that Kirby just likes this team. It's like a coach's team because they just seem to get along, and he knows it's the most talented team, but they are fighting, dude. And the way we're winning games, it's not enjoyable, as a fan, to be honest, until the last quarter. Winning games nonetheless. I posted that video as well. I mean, at the end of the day, we're winning games. Another one's coming. Let me tell you, there's a loss coming. I'm aware.
The verbal meme is like the timeline. It's I can't wait to watch my team play. And then the entire game is, I'm going to kill myself. Then the very end, hey, Georgia won. Nice.
You could be like me and you just still continue to drive off the cliff at the end of the game.
Love your background, by the way, Caleb. If anybody can't tell, that's a face palm over Florida Gator. So that's where they're at now. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. But we got to talk about what happened in Oregon. Indiana beats Oregon 30-20. Indiana's first win ever over a top 5 team on the road. They've arrived. We're at the point we talked about last season. How could they get over that hump and be better than they were? Said last week, how big were these wins against Illinois that Indiana had and the one that Oregon had against Penn State? Well, we're going to talk about James Franklin being fired here later, but we got our answer with what those games really meant. Elijah Surratt, huge game, 8 catches, 121 yards for Indiana. He had the go-ahead touchdown to win the game. Indiana was 5 for 5 in the red zone. Aiden Fisher, their linebacker, they said during the game he was the first ever All-American linebacker for Indiana. He had 13 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Indiana had 6 sacks as a team. Question for you guys. You know how many sacks Oregon had given up before this game?
Probably 2.
Less than 6.
1. They had given up 1 all year. and Indiana got him Dante Moore 6 times. It was a close game in the first half. Oregon had a big play, kind of a busted coverage situation, kept them in it. They missed a field goal to tie it before half. Seems like they missed a bunch of opportunities. They were really not good on, third down. They only had 64 yards in the second half. Dante Moore threw 2 interceptions as well. They had that pick 6 that kept them in the game, but offensively they were not good at all. Just seems like that was a situation where Indiana had the better players, and they won the lines of scrimmage, and they had the better coach in that game. Ended an 18-game home winning streak for Oregon. 2 questions for you guys. I want your thoughts on the game, but also I want to know, where does Curt Cignetti rank in head coaches right now?
Top 10. I'd put him definitely top 10. I think so. Why not? Who else?
It's 5. It's 5. It's top 5.
Okay. Here's my thing with the top 5. Like, Kirby won. Ryan Day. James Franklin. I'm just kidding.
Stop it.
It probably, I guess it is top 5.
Here are the people that are in that conversation, in my opinion. Lanning.
Marcus Freeman. Lanning.
Freeman. Sark. Kiffin.
Kirby.
Well, Kirby's 1. I'm talking about like beyond 1. And I'm going to say Kirby Smart, Ryan Day, 1, 2. Can we agree on that? Lanning, Marcus Freeman, Sark, Kalen DeBoer, Brian Kelly, Curt Cignetti, Lane Kiffin. He's in the top 5. Here's the thing, and this is the reason why I say so. There ain't no other coach in the country. When I talked to you guys earlier, and we probably talked about this on other podcasts, I like coaches that do less with more. He's done less with more better than anybody else in the country.
Don't you mean more with less? If you do,
James
Franklin
do less
with more. That's
James Franklin's done less with more. Let me rephrase that. Great clarification there. We get grilled when we screw up on this podcast.
Absolutely roasted every time.
Let me just back it up. Men in Black, little flashlight pin here. James Franklin does less with more. Okay, Curt Cignetti does more with less better than anybody in the country, in my opinion. Out of all those guys, he is going to get a team that is under talent. Their composite rating's not going to be great. They're not going to have the strongest schedule or whatever, this, that, and the other. They're going to play good, sound football. Like, when you watch Indiana play, I've watched Indiana play probably 3 times this year. It just feels like, to me, and this is crazy, and I don't want to glaze too much, but, like, when they run plays on offense, they always run the right play. It feels like they're throwing to a wide open receiver on the edge. They run a little screen. It's going to work. Like, they're always ahead of the sticks. They're never really behind or anything like that. And then on defense, they can play some freaking ball on defense, dude. Like, they might be better on defense than they are behind center or anything else going on the offensive side of the football. Like, Surratt's good, Mendoza's good, but number 95 on their defense, that defensive lineman that was in Oregon's jaw all day long, there ain't many folks doing it like him. Tyreek Tucker's the name, by the way. I mean, he's splitting double teams and all that stuff. I just don't see, there's no other place in the world or in the country where you're going to get a year 2 coach take a program that was in the bottom 10 of programs in college football and turn them into a top 5 team.
Yeah.
Just like that.
And that's what I find the most impressive, is because Indiana, really throughout our entire lifetime, we've had 1 year, 2 years where they're 7, 8 wins, and now we're talking about, they made the college football playoff last year. They're 6-0, and they're going back. They're going to make the playoffs again this year. They're probably going to represent the Big Ten in the conference championship game. But the biggest thing that stands out to me is, if you look up and down Indiana's roster, they do have a couple good transfers. Like, Fernando Mendoza was probably the most sought after transfer portal quarterback this year.
Georgia wanted him.
Outside of Carson Beck. Yeah, Georgia really wanted Mendoza. So, yes, that's true. But you look up and down this roster, you're going to see a lot of 2 stars and 3 stars, maybe 1 to 2 4 stars. You look at Oregon, every single one of the players that plays for Oregon, every single team in the country wanted them. They're blue chip, 5 stars, best of the best, cream of the crop. And Cignetti had the 2 stars and 3 stars looking heads and shoulders better than the people for Oregon. And that is what's most impressive. Dante Moore is heck of a quarterback. He had Dante Moore in hell, dog. He had him in hell. I've only watched a few Oregon games. I haven't watched all 6. That was easily the worst I've seen him play. 6, not 7. This week will be 7. This was easily the worst game of Dante Moore's season. The 2 interceptions, 34 pass attempts, and only getting 186 yards out of it. Not impressive. And it is a coaching masterpiece that Coach Sig has done. Question for y'all. Why do y'all think that Nick Saban has an issue with Curt Cignetti?
I don't think he does.
He kind of never
he's shit talking, dude. Well, I mean, Cignetti was under Saban.
Yeah, they're
Wow.
they're on the same.
You also
track.
got to understand something about Saban, though. Like, Saban is very aware of what his voice does to team and rat poison. Like, he will pick against Bama to fire them up. I think it's probably something similar going on here. Now, I know the one thing that everybody goes back to is when Sig was on game day last year, and Saban told him straight up, "You talk too much shit, but you're a good coach," which is probably all truth. And to be honest with you, if I was Signetti, this is kind of wild to say, but I'd probably not necessarily be too big of a public fan of Saban as well, because that dude was on staff for years and got picked over for the OC spot. He had
That's fair. That's
Lane
very fair.
Kiffin, you know what I'm saying? All these
Sark.
guys were on staff. He was there with them. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of guys. I mean, you can go down the list. Obviously, he's one of the few guys on that. Cristobal got picked over on that same staff, and Billy Napier got picked over. Good choice. But I mean, that staff was loaded, and it took Signetti to have to go through the FCS ranks and build James Madison up for him to get a shot. But there's no way that he's not going to be either. Indiana's going to turn into a top 5 or top 10 program, or he's going to go somewhere that's capable of doing so.
I don't think
And if you guys aren't aware at home,
I'm glad. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to leave either. And the reason why I say this is because I heard a lot of people buzz about him in Penn State. Why in the hell would he go to Penn State? Here's a fun fact. You guys need to go look up last year or 2 years ago Indiana athletic facility spending, or just general spending in athletics, and go look at it today. It is up about 600%. So he got hired and convinced them that I needed this, this, and this in order to be successful. Went out and done it. Why would you not go to Indiana if you're a 5-star recruit right now?
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you? Unless it's a money thing, you're not going to get coached any better than anywhere else marginally. I mean, if you're talking about unless you're a quarterback or something, but hell, even then, he's got these dudes. He had Nathan Rourke playing Curtis Rourke playing like a first rounder last year. Who? Curtis Rourke. Yeah, you've never heard of him, but he was Indiana's quarterback in the playoff last year. Mendoza was a Cal quarterback last year, and he's in the top 3 in the Heisman in my book right now.
He is. He's 1 or 2. It's him and Ty Simpson, in my opinion.
Sig's a receiver and quarterback guy too. So the success is clear as day. In the program, you're talking about culture. There ain't been a culture that's set as fast as Quick Creek like his has.
All right. Let's go Falcons, baby. We're about to kick off Monday Night Football. Let's rise up. Let's do it. I'm so fired up. It's gonna be hard to keep my emotions in check on the podcast.
Yeah, we are. As we're recording this right now, the Falcons are getting ready to kick off Monday Night Football. If you don't know, we record these on Mondays, on Monday night. So usually that's why we miss a lot of Monday night action. If you've ever been like, why don't they ever talk about the Monday Night Football games? This is why. But you're going to get some live commentary here. We will not edit this stuff out, but you will get to hear our live reactions to maybe the entire first half, depending how long this goes. Okay, we'll move on. Talk about Bama versus Missouri. Happened in Columbia. Bama wins 27-24. This was an insane start to the game for Missouri. They went on a 6-play, 78-yard drive, and it would look a wheel route touchdown to the tight end. Couldn't have started better. Bama responds with a drive of their own, gets on the board. Game starts to go Bama's way after that. They were having another great game on third down in the first half. They were 5 for 7. I've been calling it third and Bama since that Georgia game. It just seems like they get every single one of them. Meanwhile, Missouri was the number 1 in the country on third down conversion percentage going into this game. They went 1 for 10 the entire game. They could not keep that same pace going against Alabama. Missouri caused a fumble in this game in the second half to kind of get back into it on Ty Simpson. They got after Ty Simpson a lot in this game. I think they had 4 sacks total. So that was kind of keeping them in the game, I thought, because Bo Pribula, I didn't like what I saw. I think maybe there was pressure, but I think he was maybe just running out of that pocket a little bit too much. I don't know how you guys saw it. I think Missouri didn't really run the ball enough. They were averaging 5 yards a carry, over 5 yards a carry, and Ahmad Hardy only had 12 touches. It's not like they were losing by a lot. They were in the game the whole time. So I was questioned about that, but. Bama and Ty Simpson, they pushed through. Ty Simpson got pressured, came back, responded pretty well. So good game for him. Ryan Williams didn't even have a catch in this game. Jam Miller got hurt in the third or fourth quarter, and they were able to survive this game. And they had some insane conversions on third and fourth down in this game. I mean, you talk about that 4th and 7, 4th and 8, whatever it was, with about 6-7 minutes to go. It was incredible what they were doing. And I thought they were going to go for it on 4th down there at the end of the game before punting it back to Missouri. And they decided to punt it back. Ended up working out for them because, like I said, Bo Pribula just I don't think he's a really good thrower of the ball. Bama gets another one. What do you guys think about that one?
Well, I think Bijan Robinson just fumbled the first play of the game, but it came back, and we're good. We're good. To talk about the Bama game, Bo Perbula, good sometimes, but man, the fourth quarter is kind of brutal for him because this Missouri defense gave him so many opportunities late. Absolute C to Drake London. Let's go. The Missouri defense gave him so many opportunities. Agreed? Yes? No? I mean, there's multiple chances late in the game. Then, that last drive, he got bailed out on one call. He was able to make some things happen with his legs, but man, it was just kind of a Ty Simpson masterclass again. I mean, you look at his stats, they're not really that impressive. 23 for 31, 200 yards, but 3 touchdowns. Ty Simpson does a great job of making sure Bama is in the right play call every single snap. He never really makes mistakes. Jam Miller was nice. Caden Proctor with the goal line carry, almost cashing our Caden Proctor anytime touchdown bet that would have sent our kids to college. A lot there, but it's overall a very good game. Was really hoping Missouri would be able to pull it out late on that last play. So I'll also say this: that interception that Bo Perbula threw on their last offensive play was almost an absolute seed. It was almost an incredible throw.
They threw it to the curl on the outside. The dude was wide open. He's doing jumping jacks on the tape.
I agree. I kind of hate that he jumped up and down and showed up his quarterback, though, on national television. I hated that. I hated that a lot. I really did not like that. But I guess, the passion of the game. And
that guy wanted to win just as bad as his quarterback. I'm exactly what you, Garrison. I think that Bo Perbula was way too sensitive in the pocket, too trigger happy to get to run. And also, too, there's no way that he should have anything close to the same amount of carries as Ahmad Hardy. To me, the way that Missouri's going to win this game is that they were going to run the ball with Hardy 20, 25 times. Minimum. There's no way he doesn't touch the ball 25 times. Whether it's in the run game, pass game, whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, Perbula is a serviceable quarterback. He's got some dual threat ability. Maybe some of the decision-making stuff is a little off, and he's obviously not that explosive of a passer. But also, let's not even sit here and try and convince ourselves that Bama doesn't have one of the best secondary rooms in the country. They're going to blanket people down. And for them to come out and win this game, even in the situation it was in, because Garrison talked about it was a 4th and whatever, from the 35-yard line. They're in no man's land. Could have been I'm watching.
Touchdown Tyler Algier.
Touchdown Tyler Algier.
Let's go.
Boom. Let's go. I'm behind y'all. So I get to watch the replay. I get the early reaction. Hey, for them to be in 4th and 8 or whatever it was, 4th and 13, 35-yard line, what was it, like a minute 48 or something left? And it was probably the most beautiful throw of the entire day. And he threw it to a freshman who, I don't know if you guys know that guy, but Mr. Brooks for Alabama will be an NFL player here very, very soon. He's really good. And like you said, Ty Simpson is able to operate. He snaps the ball with 1 second left on the clock. He's going to dish it. I was kind of shocked to see him get sacked as much as he did, but it's also even more impressive to know that Bama won this game with a really good fourth quarter of offensive play, and they're arguably their best player on offense outside the quarterback, and Jam Miller got concussed and got put out of the game. So, they had to go to a second and third string running backs and Daniel Hill and Riley, which Daniel Hill is a freaking unit. I don't know if you guys saw that dude on the field, but he is a massive human being. And then, look, we said something about Caden Proctor, anytime touchdown. We were this close, folks. We were so close. But your kids got to go to technical school now instead of college.
Dude, just keep betting it. It's coming. I mean, it's so obvious that it's coming. They are trying so hard to get him the ball every single game.
I mean, you saw him run up in there on that power read, though. And also, I don't know if people at home really noticed, but if you go look at the back view of that play, there's a lineman that is 2 gaps over from where Caden Proctor was that flipped it to him underhand. It wasn't even a true center snap. He just flipped it to him rugby style, and then he caught it and ran it up in there. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was incredible. I really, I posted the clip, but I was kind of hoping that happened. Did they even end up scoring on that drive? Scoring a touchdown right there?
At the very end of the game or what?
On that drive that he ran from the 1. I feel like they ended up with a field goal on that drive because I think they went back. Can't remember. But Alabama wins another one. I think Missouri's a good team. I think they really had a chance there. They just, like I said, they didn't run the ball enough. All right, let's talk about your team, Caleb. Florida loses to A&M 34-17. This was a crazy.
Do we have to?
Huh?
Do we have to?
Yeah, just slightly. Florida loses to A&M 34-17. This is a good start to the game. It was 14-14 at the end of the first quarter. Caleb's texting us. He's saying, Billy's in his bag, best script he's ever had. And it showed. DJ Lagway in the first quarter was 10 for 12, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. After that was 11 for 25, 77 yards, 1 interception. The team could not run the ball, only had 74 yards the whole game. I think I heard a stat that Florida fumbled the ball 4 times in this game. Is that right, Caleb?
Way too much.
Third down trouble again. I talked about how Florida was one of the worst teams on third downs, 1 for 10 in this game. The defense that had been a strong suit gave up 310 yards rushing. We've talked about it between us. We think if Billy loses this weekend, that this is before they go into the bye for Georgia, that he'll be fired. I think that's obvious for what we're seeing now. Other teams are firing their coaches. I think it's pretty obvious Billy's going to get fired. If everyone else is, willing to do it, I think Florida's going to have to be willing to do it. As far as A&M, they look pretty good. They're undefeated. Still a little worried about Marcel Reed. Missed some big throws in that game. He's only at a 60% completion percentage on the season. How is he going to look when they have to throw to win the game? Like when they go against somebody like LSU or, Missouri's defense and can get pressure on the quarterback. I need to see that. They're also missing Le'Veon Moss. He got hurt in this game, out with an ankle injury for a while. So I'm pumping the brakes on A&M a little bit. But Caleb, Florida, where are we at?
We are this close to getting a new coach, maybe. Really big on I have convinced myself that they are going to somehow pluck Kurt Cignetti from Indiana, and he's going to be the next guy, and we're going to go in there and win a natty in 2 years. No, I'm completely delusional, folks. Okay. It is so over. Really promising first quarter, just like Garrison said. The shocking part to me, and it's funny enough, I fell victim to the old fall wedding bug this weekend, but persevered. Let you guys know confidently, I was in the middle of South Georgia. Shout out AT&T. The service held up. I was able to scroll through DirecTV stream on my phone, Georgia, Auburn, USC, Michigan, Florida A&M. I had it going, okay? Even caught most of the Indiana, Oregon game. And to see us in the first quarter do all that, I told my girlfriend while I was with her that I have no clue what's going to happen. And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, well, I've never seen Florida score 14 in the first quarter since Billy's been there. And I've never seen them give up 14. It was just like water running through the sink. It was easy. Touchdown.
Like shit through a tin horn, I think.
Yeah, I didn't want to be Saban. I think that's like trademark. We got to come up with our new thing. I'm workshopping it, but if you guys got any ideas, let me know. Anywho, I just didn't know who was going to get the next stop. You know what I mean? Was Florida going to go down and answer after it was 14-14 and score again? The answer ended up being no. Like Garrison said, could not run the ball. We had our left tackle, Austin Barber, who is a team captain, had a passer rating or pass blocking grade of 0. It's the third time that's happened to us this season. And I will say, I think Texas A&M, this was their litmus test. They hurt us on their offensive side of the ball in terms of what they did more than any other team that has played us that we've seen, and we played some really good teams, okay? And A&M was able to take it to us on both ends, right? The defensive line, a problem. Can't block them. I don't know how anybody does or will if they stay healthy. The receiving game, running the ball. I know we knocked out Le'Veon Moss. Hope he's okay. I'm not real sure if he's going to be able to play this week or not. I haven't seen any injury update on that, but they got some talent running around College Station. Yeah, I would agree. If Florida drops to 2-5 after losing Mississippi State this week at homecoming, absolutely, he's fired before he leaves the game at the 50-yard line. Okay, and I think Billy knows that. I don't know if he makes it to Georgia. I don't know if he survives that. Why would he at that point? He's kind of ate up his clock a little bit in terms of how much to buy. The buyout goes down like $1 million every week, just about. And if, just as a general branding issue, if a team up north in Penn State who's got the same alumni base as Florida does is willing to pay their coach $60 million plus, which we're going to get to that because James Franklin's buyout, I think, is 48, and they're going to pay the staff too because they just hired a bunch of coordinators and all that stuff. It's going to be $60 million plus. If they're willing to do it, why are we scared to buy out for 21? No, not really sure.
I think the same could be said for Billy Napier. I think you say the same thing with Mike Norvell at Florida State. Literally last year, Penn State is in the semifinal, the semifinal game in college football playoff. And then we are 6 games into the season. They're 3-3 and he's already fired. That is the expectations that Penn State has is I love it. I was on the episode last week saying that Penn State needs to fire James Franklin. But then also Florida State and Florida, y'all should have higher expectations for yourself. Have higher expectations. 2-4 that with this Florida team, with the amount of talent you have after last year and then the year before, Billy Napier has never had success at the University of Florida. He should be gone. I don't give a damn what happens against Mississippi State. He should be gone. I think you can say the same thing to Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell, without Jordan Travis, has been terrible. Why are we still running it with him? Why are you still keeping it with him? I don't know. That's my only my two
Really
cents
good.
on the whole thing.
It's a really good point. And I wanted to kind of maybe seg that way into the Florida State. They lost to Pitt on Saturday as well, 34-31. Touchdown Bills on a 3rd and 13. That is not what you want to see from the Falcons.
Spoiler alert.
Long game to go. All right, but Florida State lost to Pitt 34-31. They had 12 missed tackles in this game. I went back and watched the highlights. That's what it looked like. They just couldn't capitalize on things. That seems like a coaching issue. And they had a fumble late in the game when they were trying to, kind of take the lead back. Special teams was bad. They had a punt block. This stuff just seems like stuff they're not maybe coached well enough to do. Pitt replaced their quarterback earlier this year. I don't know if anybody knows that. So they had a true freshman. He threw 2 interceptions this game, still was able to put enough points and win this game. We talk about Napier. He's probably going to get fired. James Franklin has been fired. We'll talk about that next. But is Mike Norvell going to get fired? Like, does that have to happen now? You go back to that Bama game, and it's just insane to see the turnaround. What do you guys think there?
So Florida State did have some starters out in this one. They did. I think they were missing like 4 to 5 like offensive starters in the game, which is something. But I think you got to fire them. I think you do, because like what I just said, if you take away the Jordan Travis era for Mike Norvell, he's been terrible. He's been terrible. Jordan, he won 17 straight games with Jordan Travis at quarterback. You take away those, he's probably won like 20 games total with Jordan Travis being his quarterback. Take away 20 wins from Mike Norvell and look at what his record is. The guy can't win. He needs too much. He's not a guy who's going to be able to elevate the program. I think he's got to go.
It's funny how success is forgotten a week away. Like, obviously, I think we all know that Norvell bought himself some staying power by beating Bama at home in week 1. But, once you kind of get the scores close, but you get drubbed by Miami, and then you drop one at Virginia, and then you drop one to Pitt, the slope gets slippery, right? This is the same. I take this stance every year, though. You can only if you fire somebody, you got to go hire somebody better. That is you taking a stand to your fans to say, we can do better than the guy we got. I'll be completely honest. I don't know if Florida State can do better than Norvell. Who's going to go there and take the job? They're going to promote Malzahn from within. Is that an upgrade? And I think people have just got to temper their expectations for what a down year maybe looks like, because again, we talk about all this NIL stuff all the time, and you can hear the main talking points in all college football, whether they're behind the desk or they're actually on the field. They're telling you guys the same thing. We're not as deep as what we used to be. Like, if Bama got a receiver hurt 5-7 years ago, they would just plug another 5-star in there. Instead, they don't get that chance or opportunity. Okay. And I just want to bring up something here. And I thought I started thinking about this earlier, because the whole Billy conversation, when you're firing coaches, you either should have fired them. You never fire a coach early enough. You never do. Nobody ever does. In all reality, like James Franklin, I don't think he should have been fired, so I don't have a reference as to when he should have been fired. Definitely wasn't last year. Definitely went after UCLA game. But there's been 32 changes in head coaching on average the last 2 seasons. 32 openings. Dude, we're going to have way more than that this offseason if we continue to track at the level we're going, because what you guys got to understand also, for every 1 coaching opening, that's 2. Somebody's leaving to take that job. So the Penn State job's open. Who's to say somebody from Indiana doesn't leave and take that job? Who's going to take the Indiana job? Probably coming from ECU or somewhere like that, or Illinois. So the whole thing about firing the guys, you've got to have confidence that you can go out there and hire somebody that's better. And these coaches, these teams that are firing their coaches before the end of the season, what good is it really doing you to fire your coach before the season's over? You're not going to get any better out of the recruiting cycle from that point. Your program has no vision for weeks to months.
I think personally, I think about this UCLA thing and how they fired their coach, which he obviously needed to be fired. But I think, with the way they've turned it around, it makes me think, when I was watching the game on Saturday, what a message that UCLA sent to the fan base that, doesn't show up or anything. They sent, the administration at UCLA sent a message, and it worked out in their favor. Obviously, they've looked great since it's happened, but I think that's why, to answer your question, that's why they do it. I think it shows that you care about what's going to happen going forward. Now, it doesn't always just turn out the way it's turned out for them, but that was my thought process when watching them on Saturday. They showed that they care about the program and where they want it to go, and obviously it worked out. So I think that's what the situation you see. I don't know if Penn State's going to end up in a situation like that, you would think that that's what the administration thinks. Like, let's get him out of here, because obviously after the Oregon loss, like it just kind of is not went right for him. So that's kind of what I see with them. Jake, you talked about the Penn State last week. They should have been firing him. So, I mean, you probably obviously think after this game it was warranted.
Yeah, I do. Because I think for a university like Penn State, you talked about the alumni that they have earlier. Penn State is a storied, you can't really tell the story of college football without mentioning Penn State. But I think the same for Florida and Florida State. To be a head coach at one of these top of the line Power 5 programs is a privilege. And the day that it turns into just, hey, you're the head coach, go out there and, try your best and, we'll stick with you for the full season. That's when your program starts to slip. That's when your program goes to die. I'll say this. I would have had a longer leash on James Franklin in comparison to both Florida coaches, the Florida and Florida State. I would, because don't forget, last year, Penn State is in the semifinals. Already said.
Won college football playoff games. Won them. Was a field goal away from going to the Natty.
They were a Drew Aller boneheaded interception away from going to the national championship. They were in the Big Ten championship game last year. And that's what I like to see, if I'm being honest. I want to see more of that. Because I'll tell you this, the next time a Penn State coach goes in there, he's going to know what the expectation is. The expectation is to win. Florida and Florida State are killing their programs. They're killing it. They're bringing in losers. It's a loser mentality. It's a culture thing. It affects the culture when you just lose and lose and lose and lose and no one gets held responsible.
And just real quick, one name each. Who's going to be the next Penn State head coach?
Matt Rule sure sounds like he wants it, and he's a Penn State alum. I could see it.
Caleb?
I think they promote from within and keep Kotelnicki and keep Jim Knowles on as assistant head coach and DC on staff. They just get a new vision for the program. That's my bold take, though.
That is pretty bold.
Andy Kotelnicki is the OC, and he's like revered. He was at Kansas like 2 years ago, and he's transformed that offense. And he's still got a terrible quarterback. Like I'm telling you, I think if they just moved on from Drew Aller this year, this would have looked so much different.
They definitely moved on from him now. He's out for the rest of the year. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's literally a completely new team. It's crazy to think about the running backs. So Nick Singleton and Katron Allen both could have went to the NFL last year. Both decided to come back.
Drew Aller would have been playing for the Giants right now. There would have been no Jackson Dart Scatterbo. It would be Drew Aller.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, but instead 3-3 and a lot of draft stock lost. Okay, kind of wrap up here. College football. Texas smoked Oklahoma. In the Red River Shootout. That was an ugly game to watch. There was I predicted the over, but that game had basically no offense. Texas was really slow in the first half. They had like one big touchdown that kind of got them going, but that game was super ugly. Ohio State beat Illinois. That game was never even close. And I saw a lot of people online today that were saying it was ridiculous that Illinois has 2 losses, 2 of the top 3, and they're not ranked, but like somebody like Texas is ranked. And I just want to say, if you didn't watch the game, just say so, because Illinois can't lick the jock strap of anybody. Okay, a lot different.
If Texas and Illinois played right now, they would be Texas would be a 2-touchdown favorite, right? 13.5, 12.
Well, and Texas played Ohio State, and it was a 1-score game, and like the whole time. So, and they played at Ohio State. Illinois played the game at home and literally never stood a chance. And then they played Indiana and literally never stood a chance. I'm pretty sure Kennesaw State lost by a lower score to Indiana this year than Illinois did. So if you didn't watch the game, just say so. That's all I wanted to say real quick. Texas smoked Kansas 42-17. Again, they keep up their streak of winning all those games by 2 scores or more. LSU beat South Carolina 20-10. Game could have been a lot more high scoring for LSU if you didn't see. They had 2 turnovers inside the 10 or inside the 5. Maybe. They've got Oklahoma this weekend. That's going to be – if they don't win that game, I'm officially out. I'm already like halfway out on South Carolina, and I think they have to show a lot of heart against the Oklahoma team to look very vulnerable. But we'll talk about more of that later. Tennessee beats Arkansas. Game got kind of close there at the end, but they were able to survive. Georgia Tech stays undefeated 35-20. Michigan loses to USC on the road 31-13. USC's 5-1. That's a big game. Coming up this week against Notre Dame, who beat NC State 36-7. BYU stays undefeated. Utah smokes Arizona State. Sam Levitt didn't play in this game, so Jeff Sims was a starting quarterback for Arizona State. If you don't know that name,
the guy's still in college football. Are you serious?
Yep. And The poor Arizona State fans had to watch that. Colorado upsets Iowa State 24-17. But yeah, that it was a wild weekend. We had, I think, about 8 ranked teams lose. If you didn't watch the South Florida North Texas game on Friday night, either you missed out. That was a insanely high scoring game, and that was wild. The whole game was insane, especially the first 5 minutes of the third quarter if you didn't watch it. But anything you guys want to wrap up here about college football before we get into our rankings for this week?
I give a shout out to Bobby Petrino playing a lot closer than what I was dunking on him in the last podcast.
True, that's
Tennessee escapes. Also, USC gets Michigan at home, shuts that down. Justice Haynes, nobody thought that was going to happen.
Yeah. Also, Clemson covered, and that Iowa Wisconsin game that I had the under on, Iowa wins 37-0. I had under 35.5. I mean,
they did too much on that.
Okay, let's get into our top 10 rankings real quick for college football this week. And we have adjusted. So number 1 and number 2 are the same, Miami and Ohio State. Indiana, now our third ranked team. Texas A&M has now climbed in the top 5 at number 4. Ole Miss at number 5. Texas Tech, now number 6. Alabama at 7. Georgia at 8. Oregon at 9. And Georgia Tech in the top 10 for the first time this season. Tennessee is our first team out. Any that kind of looked pretty similar to the list I sent. Maybe didn't. I think I was a little lower on the Texas A&M, a little higher on Texas Tech. I also think Ohio State's number 1 over Miami. What do you guys think about the final rankings?
Super interesting. Just like calculating them out whenever I was getting them and putting the points together, because we were like a lot of the same in certain spots. Like I found it weird. All 3 of us put Georgia Tech as the 10th team. Okay. All 3 of us put Ole Miss as the number 5 team. Okay. But everything else other than that was kind of all over the place. I was lower on Indiana than y'all 2 were. I put them at 4. I put A&M at 3. I thought the eye test is there for them, and I thought their strength of record is better. Also, a little bit of a wrench and everything else too in terms of the voting. You guys both had Oregon in your top 10. I booted them out, and I'll tell you why. I don't think who have they beaten? Northwestern, who beat Penn State, who they've also beat. Like that's their best win on their schedule right now.
Yeah. I think Oregon. So like the AP poll, Adam McMahon's above Georgia. Like I still think Oregon's a top 10 team. I think I had to put Georgia over them because Georgia has more quality wins, like you mentioned. I think the Penn State game, like obviously now it doesn't look that big, but I think at the time, I think that game kind of screwed Penn State over and caused a more spiral. But at the time, it was a pretty big win, is what I would say there. Okay, let's get into NFL Week 6. Falcons are obviously playing right now as we're recording. It's 7-7. We'll see what happens there. Hopefully we'll get another update, a good Falcons update for you. Want to talk about Sunday, though. Jake was on TV, on ESPN, hitting the 6-7 at the awesome Jags game against the Seahawks. Jags unfortunately lose, though, 20-12. Didn't get a Travis Hunter touchdown this game. Was really rooting for it. Jags looked like they kind of started out strong, but Jake, I mean, you were there. Give us the breakdown.
So I'll say this. I think this was a letdown spot of all letdown spots for Jags. I mean, they were on the road against the Niners, pulled out a win. The next week, prime time at home against the Chiefs, pull out a win. And then you get Seattle coming to town. I mean, Seattle's a good team. And you also add on top of that, Seattle coming off of a tough loss. This was a definition letdown spot for the Jags. And that's what happened. The Jags offensive line, especially their right tackle, Walker Little, got absolutely abused for the duration of this game. For all 60 minutes, got absolutely walked up and down the field. Kicking problems potentially in Jacksonville, which is interesting to think on because Cam Little made a 70-yard field goal in the preseason. And like he was looking like he was going to, I don't think he missed a kick all last year, maybe like 1 or 2 field goals. But I know he was like perfect on extra points. Misses an extra point on the first drive of the game when the Jags score, and then he misses a field goal, and then that forces them to go for 2 later in the game to try and, do the whole, when you're down 14, you score a touchdown, you go for 2 to cut it to 6, that whole analytics BS. But it should have had an opportunity, but the Jags offense was just so flat yesterday. So flat. I mean, the same thing I was just saying earlier about the defense is giving opportunities. The same can be said in this one because the Jaguars defense gave Trevor Lawrence and the offense a billion opportunities to come back and tie this game up, but they weren't able to get it done. Ryan Thomas Jr. is a legitimate problem. That dude is terrified terrified to catch balls over the middle of the field. And he's talented as hell. I'll get out. I mean, on the outside, I mean, he's awesome. But man, you get him across the middle, he will alligator chomp every single ball. It's bad. But I mean, I'm not hitting the panic button for the Jags in the slightest. I mean, it's 4-2 at this point. You know, every single Jacksonville Jaguars fan or anybody would take that in a heartbeat. Going to London, and they got the Raiders, Texans coming up next. So those are two gettable games. So we'll see. Not worried.
London game's a home game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the second home. It is second home. Gosh, Bijan just got decapitated. Good catch.
Okay, Bucs played the 49ers. Tampa comes out with another win, though. 30-19 is the final in Tampa Bay. Pretty crazy that the Bucs were pretty much out. Their top 4 wide receivers, they were out. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Ibuka got hurt in this game. Jalen McMillan's hurt, and they were still able to win this game and win by significant margin. Mac Jones ended up making the start for San Francisco, loses his first game out there. But I mean, Tampa Bay 5-1, finally, winning a game by more than one score. Caleb, what do you think about the Buccaneers and the 49ers going forward?
Something needs to be answered for the 49ers, like strength staff. I don't know if anybody's ever been the weirdo to bring this conversation up, but does anybody else know a team that gets more injured than them and it's with the crucial players? Like, something's got to be answered for in that department. Maybe their strength staff's not doing what they need to with soft tissue stuff. They also are just getting a lot of freak injuries. It's kind of weird. Maybe the playing surface. They got to do something. That's my go forward. Like, they're going to be. I mean, you guys tell me what you thought, but early in the year or before the offseason even started, I didn't think San Francisco was going to be that great. And they played with a backup quarterback this season with everybody out and won games. Like, they're still in a good spot in terms of the coaching and this front office, all that stuff. But, like, it's going to be really hard for them to string together a bunch of wins this year, even try and crack into the NFC playoffs. NFC's strong this year, and their division is strong. I mean, the Seahawks, we just got done talking about them. That's a damn good team, especially on defense if Sam Darnold continues to spin it. And for also my other Super Bowl pick is in that division as well, and they continue to roll on. For the other team, though, you're talking about Baker Mayfield. That's the only name that's worth bringing up right here. I understand the whole team is a full team game, whatever, That run, and then everybody's seen it. I know you've all seen it. At this point, it's got to be the highlight of the week in terms of just the guts to be able to pull something like that out and continue to win games in this style and fashion. It's a tough team to play against. You obviously hate to see Fred Warner go down this game, but great win for the Bucs. And, I mean, I'm glad my team's not in the NFC South.
Yeah, it's frustrating. As my team being in the NFC South, the Bucs are injured. They're quite injured, and they're 5-1, and they're just going to get more healthy. Like, they're just going to get healthier. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, man, this Bucs team is dang good. You saw Tez Johnson. I don't know if you've seen the replay of that touchdown catch that he had. Tez Johnson, great guy. Also, got to be happy for him. But great hands. Just show him what an NFL receiver should be able to do. Being able to make a full extension fingertip catch. Baker Mayfield, I think he's the MVP. If the season ended right now, I think you got to give it to Baker. I think you got to.
Hands down.
Yeah. I mean, they've won 5 games. 4 of them were game-winning drives. There you go. Drake. There you go. Big third down.
I mean, who else
right
is
there.
in that MVP conversation in the NFL right now anyways?
Dude, call me crazy. Call
Dak.
me crazy. Dak and, well,
Dak Prescott for sure.
I think Patrick Mahomes. I mean, after watching that game last night, I know it's easy to dunk on Patty right now, but
they're 3-3, brother.
Patrick Mahomes played an absolutely incredible game of football last night. If you
Everybody's off of Jay Herbo, man. What's going on there? We're done with that.
Jay Herbo's kind of slowing down. I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers, team's 4-1.
Aaron Rodgers, dude. That was, come on.
Dude, man, so freaking good.
Inside the 10. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see where it goes. I mean, if you had to put a future down right now on who's going to win the MVP, obviously projecting the end of the year, who would you put it on? Baker?
Yeah, probably.
It would be him or probably Pat, to be honest with you.
I think Mahomes is the betting favorite right now currently.
Is it really?
Let's talk about Mahomes' game on Sunday night football. Chiefs-Lions. Chiefs win 30-17. Lions had that crazy touchdown that got called back on their opening drive. Caleb did say this was going to end up being a ref show. It was quick. Was that, what do you guys think about that play that happened before, getting into everything? But what did you guys do? Is that a flag? I mean, what do you guys think?
It is a flag. I mean, he went in motion, they didn't stop, and it is a flag. It sucks because I hate how it was called. It's like they let it happen, touchdown, the field goal unit runs out there, and then they throw the flag. But like, I hate to be that guy, but
Rule that Jake's talking about, for those at home, if you hadn't read up on it or heard about it, whatever. If you're a quarterback and you line up under center, okay? So if a quarterback goes out and he's actually under the center, like not in the shotgun. In the shotgun, he can just motion out because he's just another back. You can snap to whoever. If he's under center, he's got to motion out. He has to get set. And Jared Goff, they snapped it on the move. He caught it, bobbled it, goofiest catch in the world. I was able to still score somehow or another. Really was wrestling with his own teammate and the football and the other team defender at the same time. But yeah, it's a flag. Hate to do it. Good job,
Yeah.
refs.
I hate to be that guy. I mean, I really do. I don't call.
It
I
was
mean, it was
such a cool
sick.
play,
Don't
dude.
call that. I mean, there should be a rule in all of football that, like, if it is cool enough, you don't call it. You don't call the penalty. You just let it roll.
Fans vote, like, get a fan vote in the stadium, like just right then. Immediately just check the pulse.
Touchdown, Drake London.
Oh my God, Drake London is that guy, man.
Touchdown, Drake London for the Falcons. We're up 13-7 as of now. We cannot just assume the extra point with this team, so we will not. But to go back to the Lions-Chiefs game, you guys mentioned it, Patrick Mahomes had an insane game, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns. Lions couldn't really get much going in the second half at all. The fight after the game, Brian Branch, I just keep thinking about what if he would have hit Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine what that would have happened? He might have been like expelled from the league forever.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, it could have been worse though. What if Taylor Swift was down there? Who's going to get the worst punishment if you punch Taylor Swift as an NFL player or Patrick Mahomes? That's a good question.
I would hope Taylor Swift. I would hope. But crazy. What do you guys think will happen to Brian Branch? Like, for real? Like, he
got 1 game
games?
suspension.
That's
what it was?
1 game, yeah.
It's a league I like right there, brother. You talking about what things I like in terms of getting people fired. Let's suspend guys for 1 game only for throwing haymakers, dude. I'm in for that. I was definitely thinking 4 or 5, like 3 or 4 at least.
He had Juju leaking, dog. He had him leaking from the nose. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I didn't stay up for the whole game. Like, once the game ended, I turned it off, so I missed the whole debacle. Yeah, and Brian Branch is a dog.
Dude, what if
I'm kind of with the 1 game. I'm kind of with it.
The what?
I'm kind of with
1
it.
game suspension, dude. That's perfect. Just enough.
Yeah. I love how Brian Branch wears the mouthpiece in his helmet.
I've never seen him put it in a single time, ever.
He just puts it in the side of his helmet. If you haven't seen that, you need to go check it out. Okay. Want to talk about the Eagles losing on Thursday night football against the Giants. I remember last week I asked you guys, the Giants didn't stand a chance. You both just kind of laughed. And I don't think anybody, really thought the Giants would come out and win. They dominated 34-17. Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo might be the best duo New York's seen since, I don't know. I know you guys watched this game. The Eagles sucked pretty much the whole time, and the Giants had them in a blender, and they had a couple good drives in the first half, but really just Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart were the story of this game. And when there was a point Jackson Dart got hurt, and Brian Daboll was just freaking out trying to get him back in, and Scatterbo went in the tent and got him.
Yeah, that whole interaction was hilarious. Like, both of them were going and checking in the blue tail like he just died. Like, they were trying to make sure he still had a pulse. And then Russell Wilson goes in the game, throws 1 pass, and the whole stadium starts booing him. Like, God, you got to feel for the guy at some point. Like,
Did you see the pass though? Did you see the pass?
Really bad.
It was the worst throw in the NFL,
bad.
like the whole season. Worst throw of the season. It wasn't even close. Like, he didn't. Not only did he throw it, good thing there was nobody there, but like nobody was there. Nobody.
It was like 15 yards short. It wasn't even that long of a throw.
They booed him so loud. Oh,
so
my God.
bad. But I'll say this. So, Garrison, you said that the Eagles are really bad. I don't think the Eagles are really bad. I think Jalen Hurts is really bad. And I am just happy to be able to see one of my takes that I've had for the last few years finally come, and everyone's starting to see it. The guy can't be trusted as a passer. And I think teams are really starting to hone in on this. We're seeing Saquon Barkley being less effective because teams know they can load the box and they can say, hey, you gotta beat us with your arm. And he's not able to do it. He's not able to do it. He missed Devontae Smith on what would have been a very long touchdown that would have swung the entire momentum of the game. He missed him there. He's continuously not able to get the full effects out of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. The guy just doesn't have it. So that's really all I have to say about the game, outside of there was at one point, there was a 3rd and 1 from about the 5-yard line. and they ran the tush push 4 consecutive times.
Yeah.
4 consecutive times for a touchdown.
I know it's getting banned, dude. They are just riding it out.
It needs to get banned tomorrow. Like, it needs to be banned before the next time they play. Like, this is something that it doesn't, or they just need to call it right. Because, like, we've said on the pod like 6 times, it's like 6 or 7 times already this year. But there are like 6 or 7 false starts every single time they run the play. It's ridiculous. The center is like lined up 6 to 7 inches over the ball every single time. It's ridiculous. And that's the thing is if the Eagles get the ball at the 6 to 7 yard line, they can run it 6 to 7 times and they'll score touchdowns.
1 yard
And
play.
then they'll get 6 points and they keep the extra point and it's 7. And it's ridiculous. And it has to stop. It has to stop.
That's got to be. Listen, I've been trying to eliminate this nonsense.
That was so
That's
funny.
the best analysis
That
on the
funny.
podcast in our
That was
entire
so-
existence.
The way you ended it with 6 points to do it and then go into 7 was it was so gold. That was hilarious.
But, I can't really, I'm not going to top on that, but just to sneak my take in behind Jake's, marvelous Stephen A. Smith, what are you doing? I mean, you didn't have that point. Just seen these two dudes headbutt each other, celebrations like before the game, during the game, after the game. I'm a little concerned. I'm really concerned for Cam Scatterbo. His life. I had somebody at work tell me today you can't spell Cam Scatterbo without CTE. There's some
That bangs his head a lot.
a lot. I really hope he has a long career. I really do, because he's cool to watch play football. And if you get 5 yards and in, brother, he's scoring. He's scoring. Forget the tush push. How about this, dude? How about this? How about they put him in the tush push?
Godly. That'd be awesome to watch. That'd be insane. Okay, other scores from around the league on Sunday. The Broncos beat the Jets in London 13-11. If you woke up and watched that game, sorry. That was
Went back to sleep.
One note from this game. Justin Fields ends this game with negative 10 yards net passing after you take the sacks out.
I asked last week, is he bad or or his team's bad?
No,
Both.
I think it's year 5 and we got to start holding people up, and I think he's bad. I think he sucks.
You changed the tune.
I have.
Last week
I
you said
have.
you thought it was a bad team.
I did. And
1
then I
week.
watched him play at 9:30 in London at the parking lot at Lot J of the Jacksonville Jaguars game. And I was like, this guy sucks. And it's year 5. We have not seen any growth from this dude. He's played on bad teams, but we got to see more. And he just sucks.
So what are you going to pay him a $50 million buyout? Tell him pack his bags. He's done. Fire him. That's what you're saying here.
Thankfully,
James
he
Franklin
doesn't
style?
have a $50 million buyout. So you can just move on from him at the end of the year, and then he'll be a backup quarterback for the rest of his career.
I told you guys at the beginning of the year that the Jets are the worst team in football. It didn't matter who the quarterback was. They're going to not be good. It's not going to be good. Aaron Glenn.
No, they're not good at all.
The fire sale's about to start, too. So,
Garrett Wilson.
0-6, and the Broncos had 9 sacks in this game. 9. That's good.
Which they got to be in the lead now, right?
I don't know, but I've got to say, I've always said that if you get sacked that many times, a couple of them got to be on the quarterback. I mean, because at some
Absolutely.
point you got to get rid of it. Okay, Colts beat the Cardinals 31-27. Jacoby Brissett was the quarterback for the Cardinals in this game. Bet Daniel Jones anytime touchdown. That scored. So go me. Colts 5-1 though.
my take, I think Jacoby Brissett had the Cardinals offense looking better than it did with Kyler Murray.
Maybe too many video games here recently.
The new Black Ops or something came out this weekend.
Yeah, Battlefield 6. Yeah.
It's awesome, by the way.
Have you been playing?
Absolutely. I'll play after this game, dude. I'll have them on 2 TVs, brother.
Okay, Chargers beat the Dolphins 29-27. Oh, sorry, the Chargers were kind of had control of this game. Dolphins made it a little fourth quarter scare. Mike McDaniel still having a job. I feel like people have been talking about him getting fired here soon. What do you guys think?
Absolutely. Fire the guy. I mean, there's nothing left to be done in Miami. Obviously, it's too loose. The press conference that Tua had that somebody brought up, I saw this on Twitter, a player was like, this dude was late at the first meeting. He was talking about in his press conference how people have been late at players-only meetings and team meetings, and it's becoming a problem, and it starts with leadership. Well, okay, you are the leadership. So whatever's going on in Miami, it is not good. Somebody needs to be fixing it, and Mike's not going to be able to do it. That thing is falling off the rails. They had this game in hand, too, at the fourth quarter. Like, the Chargers were down and out, and they were able to come back and win this game at the last minute.
All right. Caleb, Patriots 25, Saints 19. You guys are 4-2, 3-0 on the road.
Yeah, I want to talk about the ref show. I mean, what are we doing on the penalty with Stephon Diggs calling offensive pass interference, and it's like 75 yards away from the play? I mean, we got to have better eyes than that, referees. There, there's LASIK. There's some people. There's a somebody on Twitter, is it LASIK.com, that sponsors, these refs that make bad calls. You can go get your eyes fixed. Do something about it. The game was entirely too close, but that called back a big touchdown. So I would feel totally different if, it was called the way it should have been.
Or Jake, you anything nice to say about the Patriots?
Also, you're welcome, Falcons fans.
Yeah, appreciate it. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch any of the 1:00 games because I was at the Jags games. So I don't really have anything to really add on this one, unfortunately.
But do you have anything nice to say about the Patriots or Saints?
Either team.
Nah, not really.
Drake May is playing really good.
I mean, Drake May is good, I guess.
I figured.
And that's another thing is like I do like as much as I do hate the Patriots because of what they ruined my life. I do love when a take comes to fruition. And if you remember, I was very high on Drake May. I thought Drake May was the best quarterback coming out of the class. And was he the best quarterback? Probably not. Jaden Daniels does seem like he was the best. But I love to see that he is still good.
And Drake gets to go back to Tennessee with Braves this weekend and beat the brains out of that team who just fired their coach.
Yeah. So it's funny that you bring this up. And I'm just going to segue it because I do want to talk about this. I was on the phone with Zach Shipper, who's been on the podcast today. I was on like a Teams call with him today, and he was talking about the Titans. And it's like, you look back, man, they had Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown and Mike Vrabel and Jeffrey Simmons, and they had a decent squad, and they just got rid of everybody. I mean, they got
the AFC Championship. They were number
twice, right?
Literally not that long ago. And why did they do that? Like, why did they decide? Yes, but like, why did they just decide they're going to trade away A.J. Brown? And who was the receiver they got? I can't remember.
They got Treylon Burks for him.
Treylon Burks.
He's not even on team.
Terrible. But like, what are they thinking? Like, oh, we're going to trade away A.J. Brown. We're going to rock with Treylon Burks. We're going to get rid of Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry just walked, too.
Let him walk.
It's a case in point of bad management, dude. If you go look at what they've done in terms of their, like, how the team is ran, every year they'll fire the GM and then hire a new one. Then they'll fire the head coach and then they'll hire a new head coach with that GM. Then the GM will get fired again. They'll hire another head coach. They're in the same cycle. They can't get out. If I'm not mistaken, during the A.J. Brown situation, Vrabel wanted to keep him, and the GM was like, "No, we're trading him," and they did, which is part of the reason why Vrabel wanted out.
Yep. Raiders beat the Titans 20-10. Brian Callahan out as the head coach for the Titans. First firing we've seen all year in the NFL. Well, other than obviously the Falcons firing the receivers coach. Steelers beat the Browns.
Forget that.
Steelers beat the Browns 23-9. Dylan Gabriel's second career start. I bet the under in this game, one of my best bets. That hit. Got a little scared there at the end. How long till we start hearing Shedur's name?
Soon. I think 2 to 4 weeks.
I still can't believe that they just traded Flacco away to somebody in their division. I honestly, because now they've screwed themselves. And what I told somebody last night was that they should have just played Shedur from the jump. And if he went out there and put it in the tank, then you have no reason not to. But you're going to continue to hear pressure about that kid being on the bench and the other guy playing terribly.
Yeah, that's my thing is I kind of understand when it's like a vet, like a guy who's been your quarterback for 2-3 years and you bench him to go for somebody else, that kind of destroys his confidence. But if I'm talking to Dylan Gabriel, it's like, dude, you haven't earned anything in this league. Like we're going to see what we got from Shedur. And if he doesn't work out, we'll come back to you. And like, Dylan, you know what? You're going to be okay with it. And if you're not, another sack. There's a ball. Man, this Falcons defense, baby. You see what I mean? Like I just feel like you have to earn that respect. And Dylan Gabriel, like, for the record, I'm not calling for him to get benched today. Like, I don't think he's done anything in the last 2 weeks to not get benched, but he hasn't done anything the last 2 weeks to be like, okay, you're going to be the guy. We don't even want to see what Shedur's got. So I think it's coming. Talk about the Steelers real quick. The Steelers got some swag, man. The Steelers got some swag. Look at how the AFC North is looking right now with the Bengals and the Ravens just completely punting on this season. And I feel like they were the two teams that I think those are the teams that we picked to win this division. I know I picked the Bengals. I think Caleb picked the Bengals and Garrison picked the Ravens. So none of us had, and they're 2-10 combined. So that it doesn't look too likely there, but yeah.
Obviously hinge on the quarterbacks being healthy.
Of course, for sure. But with that said, the Steelers should be able to run away with this division. And then you get into the playoffs and you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback. You got a chance, and their defense is loaded. I mean, their defense is awesome. So we'll see. The Steelers look dangerous, really dangerous for a postseason push.
Yeah, it seems like they've got the division locked up. I mean, you talk about the Bengals and the Bengals and the Ravens. Well, the team that beat the Browns, I mean, they're nowhere near contending either. So
no,
if the Steelers did not win this division, it would be an Really bad. Okay. Cowboys, Panthers. Panthers beat the Cowboys 30-27. They are 3-0 at home. Rico Dowell had another insane game, 180 yards on the ground. Are the Panthers kind of sneaky good? Just quick thoughts?
Unfortunately, I do agree. I think they're sneaky. I think they're a sneaky squad. Bryce Young, after his government mandated interception every single week, looks like prime Tom Brady. It's so odd. And Ted McMillan had his first 2 career touchdowns this week, only had 3 catches at 2 touchdowns. Rico Dowdle looks really dang good. And I'm really interested to see what this offense looks like because I think that Chuba should be back next week. And to see how they work with Chuba and Rico Dowdle there, because Rico looks like a superstar. He looks awesome. He looked awesome
in Dallas last year.
Yes, but it's not like and thanks for trading him to me. I really appreciate that. Go Bijan.
Well, now you have them.
Go Bijan. Go Bijan. Go Bijan. Go Bijan. Let's go. Let's freaking go. What was that, like a 90-yard
Did he really
touchdown?
just come on?
Dude, 80 yards?
81 yards.
Oh, my God. Bijan Robinson, 81 freaking yards. Oh, my God. Oh, my
Crease
God.
that thing. He's gone.
See,
The sideline tightrope, too. That is awesome.
well, Rico Dowell is not Bijan Robinson. We'll tell you that. 21.
I don't think there's any decision as to what to do. I think Rico's the lead back, dude. And you bring in Chuba to throw it. I mean, he's a pass down back. He's a good receiving threat as it is. I think they're going to let Rico tote the mail, though. This is going to help Bryce Young tremendously.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Ravens.
Bijan Robinson is the best running back in the National Football League. Dude, that guy is sick, dude. That guy is sick.
Yeah.
That was an awesome play.
21-7, dog. Are we going to blow this team out?
Coming off the bye. We're ready. Extended bye. Rams beat the Ravens 17-3. Ravens, we talked about it, are show themselves. Rams staying hot. Puka got hurt, though, in this game. Got carted off the field. Did dodge a long-term injury. But, yeah, definitely out a couple weeks. So that we'll see how the offense functions without him. Okay, last couple games. Packers beat the Bengals 27-18. Flacco kind of kept them fighting in this game. The first half was awful, though. Their offense could not do nothing. But I'm sure Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were pretty happy about how this went because they were definitely getting a lot more catches than they were from Jake Browning. That wraps up all the NFL games for week 6. Like we mentioned, Falcons are up 21-7 on the Bills right now in the second quarter. Bears Commanders getting ready to kick off here soon. Before we get out of here, let's get into our player and deep thoughts of the week. Last week, Jake and Baker Mayfield took home the award. So it is now, I have 3, Jake has 2, Caleb has 1. So, Caleb, who do you have this week as your player of the week?
I'm switching my tactic up. I'm selling out, to be quite honest with you. I'm going with the pick that I think the fans will like. I'm picking Cam Scatterbo this week as my player of the week. 19 attempts, 98 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also had 2 catches for 12 yards. Not that much danger there, but just the electricity that the guy brings to a game. Just seeing him play, he's the most fun football player to play. I think the fans will like that. So I'm going with Scatterbo as my player of the week.
Yeah, no, there is, I will say this, there's 100% a portion of this that you have to play off the viewers and how it looks on a graphic. And I knew last week, even though Baker probably wasn't the best player in all of last week, people are going to click that name. So, yeah, good pick.
All right, Caleb, Jake, who do you have?
So this one's a little bit different because I don't think this is going to look great on the graphic, but I'm hoping that by Texas Tech's, how they've been doing this year and the stats are crazy. Hopefully it gets it done for me. But I'm going to go with Cameron Dickey, the Texas Tech running back, 21 carries for 202 touchdowns this week, including a long of 71 yards. Really awesome performance. They were able to blow out Kansas this week in a big way. And Texas Tech, hey, they look really dang good. So, yeah, Jalen Walker. Dude, this Falcons team is feeling themselves right now. But, yeah, I'm going to get the player of the week to Cameron Dickey.
My player of the week this week, losing effort, but you talk about playing on a graphic. Who doesn't love George Pickens? I mean, this guy's been going off if you haven't been paying attention. I don't think I picked one in a losing effort yet this year, but 9 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, just a big, deep threat all the time. And for CeeDee Lamb to be out and for him to step up, I mean, he has just been – I think he's had over 100 yards every single game. CeeDee Lamb's been out. It was hard. Rico Dowell had another good game. I was thinking about going back-to-back, but I really like George Pickens and how he stepped up. It's really impressive. So I'm going to be going with him. 9 catches, 168 yards, and a touchdown. Deep thoughts of the week. Jake, what do you got?
So my deep thought is all the Auburn fans that have been crying just tears for the last 96 hours or longer than that about the Georgia game. I think Georgia got screwed by the refs. People want to say that Auburn's getting screwed and all this. I think Georgia's the one that got screwed. We all three were in agreement that they fumbled, right at the half-yard line and that ball's out. Well, if that happened, Georgia should have had 7 points on the board because that ball got recovered and it got ran back all the way back. There was also a blindside block called on Cash Jones in a really big part of the game that got called, and that was 15 yards, and we wound up having to punt the ball on that possession. So to all the Auburn fans that have been, sending me the gifts of Georgia player, using tap to pay for the refs after the game, you can go kiss my ass, dog. Georgia was the one who got screwed in that game, and if you disagree with it, you don't know ball.
And you're right, Jake. Just sorry for you're right. That should have been a touchdown.
My deep thought is going to be on something similar to officiating as well that Jake was talking about, which is something that I saw pop up in a bunch of games. And it's not only popped up in high school or college or in NFL, like it's all three levels. And it's been a point of emphasis for all these teams and officials to call it as like a delay game of the defense. But stemming of a D-line, okay, it's caused Indiana to jump a couple times in the Oregon game. Georgia does it. They got Auburn to do it a couple times. You've seen a lot of these defenses in college football still utilize this, and I'm not saying it's a bad tactic. I think it's awesome. It's smart. It really makes it tough on the offense to be able to communicate different, schemes, blocking zones, whatever you're going to do. But if you're going to make it a rule and a point of emphasis, we call it. Nobody has called this penalty. It's described to everybody in the world, same thing. If it's an urgent movement of defensive linemen to cause an offensive lineman to jump, it is a delay a game on the defense. Point of emphasis. Call it. I just have a really more overarching issue with what the officiating is right now in college football. It seems like it is so disjointed. It feels like all the different conferences hold different people to different standards. And there's no reason why we should be paying all these players this much money and coaches and making all this money off the games for the referees just be like, I'm not going to call them ragtag. Why? Let's make them full-time employees at this point. Like, that's not a far stretch to be able to say that you could fully employ referees. And honestly, I know they still work and do all this and that, do things and stuff. But like, if you're changing the game and the rules of the game, you're not going to get these people that have been calling the game the same way for the last 20 years to change out of nowhere. You've got to have some kind of change or some form of discipline. And we don't ever hear about it.
It's genuinely the dumbest thing in the world that these referees in college and NFL, billion-dollar leagues, the amount of money that is on every single game that is generated and then gambling, the fact that they aren't full-time employees is outrageous. We have these guys working 9 to 5s Monday through Friday and then checking in to call a season-altering decision, a day later. It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Most of these guys, for just crowd reference, most of the referees that you see at any level, obviously the high school level and the lower FCS college levels, they're going to have other jobs. They're not in a big enough league. The rest of these guys, though, like the big ACC refs, most of these guys are entrepreneurs on their own, successful businessmen, and they do this on the side. This is
gig.
This is their gig. It is not what they do.
Obviously,
I would say 98% of them. You might get 1 to 2 that's like a millionaire, like super successful. They just do it. But I'd say the vast majority. There was one that he used to live in Macon, and like I forget how my parents like knew of him, but like they would see him like in Macon, and then like 2 days later, he's calling the SEC on CBS Game of the Week. It's like, hey, there he is. That shouldn't be happening. That shouldn't be happening.
What do you think they should be doing if they were full-time employees?
They should have meetings, and they should be watching film, and they should, well, I'll say number one, they should be answering the media after the game, because I think that is kind of crazy that we had that I'll just use the Georgia-Auburn game, for example, because that is the most like polarizing game this weekend. You had all the Georgia players and coaches, all the Auburn players and coaches having to face the media. Referees just had to get in their car and drive home. And I think that's so weak.
I think they need to do the same model the NBA does, where you come out with report cards and 2-minute reports and all that stuff. Like, you've got to have accountability for these guys. And also, too, like, you're talking about what are they going to do in the offseason? Okay, well, there's spring practice. There's other leagues that are playing. They can go referee whatever they want to. In fact, a lot of these SEC teams and ACC teams, all the big Power 5 programs, Power 4, now RIP Pac-12, pay these guys in the offseason to come, like, do their spring practices and their scrimmages. So there's work for them to be able to be doing. They're just choosing to spend their spare time elsewhere. When the days, the enjoyment, the money for millions of people across the country, you know how many people were affected by that Auburn call, whether or not they think it was right or wrong, and that they just have to go. They have to go on about their week and live with that. That's a big issue.
Yeah. Okay. So my deep thought of the week to wrap up the show here, I want to say I've been on Twitter and I've seen a lot of people complaining about College Game Day going to Athens this week. Georgia's got Ole Miss at home. I've been seeing on Twitter people saying that, USC Notre Dame should have been considered, that BYU versus Utah, a huge rivalry. I just need to, I know people around the country maybe don't care about the SEC as much as, us down right in the heart of Georgia do, but I think you need to have a better understanding of the landscape of college football. Because I promise you, no one gives a rat's ass about BYU and Utah happening over there. And it's just, I will say the College Game Day is not perfect. They sometimes, I think, get it wrong about where they go. But if you think for a second that they shouldn't go to a top 10 game, you're wrong. Okay. You can take the SEC out. It's a top 10 game. It's the only top 10 game of the week. It would be dumb not to go there. And the amount of stuff that I've seen that, College Game Day doesn't showcase the whole college football world and yada, yada, yada. They were just in Oregon. You could say what you want about, SEC, Big Ten. Well, that's just because there's all these teams are in the goddamn every conference now. It's not the same. They'd go, if Oregon was still in the Pac-12, they still would have, they still go out there. We've seen them out all around. Just here's another thing I want to say is, they call it the big noon kickoff. That's where the game going this week. It's the Utah BYU game. They're not having the game at noon because that leads into what I was going to say is that they call the big noon kickoff. You guys know Illinois is an hour behind, right? So they kicked the game off locally that they just had at 11 a.m. Not even big noon. Utah, Texas Tech a couple weeks ago. Kickoff, it was at 10 a.m. What's up with that? Do they ever think about that half the time they go out and do these things, that the game literally does not even hour at noon? But I just wanted to say that the pregame shows, game day is the best, and they're going to go to the best games. You can get mad if you think BYU and Utah need to be showcased. I promise you, take the SEC out of it. It's a top 10 matchup. I don't see the argument.
For sure. And ESPN has the contract with the SEC also at the end of the day. So, come on. And I'll say this. I think we got to give ourselves a little pat on the back because I remember 2 weeks ago, when Alabama Vandy was game day, I remember saying that it should have been at Florida State Miami. And that is a non-SEC game. That is actually an ACC game for the fact check.
We said that too. I thought that it was going to be a big game.
Yeah. And the Holy War is a really cool name for a rivalry. Really, really, really cool. Probably the coolest if I had to, rank them. But yeah, that does not go, Mike. Good run. That does not compare to UGA Ole Miss. And if you disagree, then I don't know. I don't know what to say.
All right. That will wrap up episode 19. Falcons right now up 21-7. So before we log off, guys, what's going to be the final score here?
56-10, 42-17, 35-17 final score.
38-24.
Who wins?
Falcons.
Okay.
Man, that's going to be so bad.
What about right now? Okay, Bears Commanders 3-0 right now early in the game. What's the final score in that game?
Ooh, okay. Who's winning? Who's winning?
Bears are up 3-0.
Oh, Bears upset today. I think the Bears upset today. It just started. It
what's
has
the
to be
score?
the first quarter. I'm gonna go 24-20 Bears.
I'm going to go 27-23 Commanders.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to another episode. Make sure you guys let us know when you get your shirts. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in a couple of days, preview another packed weekend in football. For Jake and for Caleb, I'm Garrison. Deep Shot out.